right, guys. Thank y'all for doing this for me and participating. So I want to talk about a topic that is really related to us as a worship team. So I'm doing a class for school, and that's what this project is for. I want to start off by talking about a story, though. Like I said, y'all were involved in this story, so y'all will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you remember, we were in worship practice a few weeks ago on a Monday, the day before chapel. We were practicing the song Why by Elevation, right? And there was that transition from the first chorus into the second verse, and we could not get that timing right. I was always coming in late, the timing was off, and then finally, after a few moments of being frustrated with it, everybody was offering their different views and opinions on what was wrong, what could be fixed, what needed to be done better, and probably most all of us were right, but we weren't communicating properly in order to fix the issue. Finally, after some people had left, and it was just like me and another guy playing the guitar, I said, y'all, we need to stop. We just need to completely stop and listen to it. So I put up to the mic, we listened to it, and then after that, we got it. And it's been really good ever since. Well, there's a stage in the 5 stages of small group development that we found ourselves in at that time, and it was the storming stage, as we'll talk about in just a little bit. There was a study done by Bruce Tuckman, a psychologist, in 1965, and he did there's 5 stages of small group development that he really grouped up for us to know. Going from forming to storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. It just so happens that they all rhyme, so it works. We found ourselves in that story in the storming stage, and I'll talk about a little bit why I would say that that's where that story landed our small group worship team. I think it's important for us to know this as a small group so that we can discern where we are, where we're going, how much progress we've made. We can celebrate or make improvements in order to form as a healthy group, as a worship team, to bring God the most glory for it. The first stage in small group development is forming. There was a study done by Lumsden, and Whitehoff, the 3 people, and there was 3 main reasons why a small group would form. One is similar interests, which is where our group would be, music interests. We just saw that there was a need for a worship team, and so we formed a group. There's then drive reduction, so you can be more efficient in getting a task accomplished, and then also reinforcement, so you can work together to make the most impact without as much effort exerted. Those are the 3 main reasons why these people gave for small groups forming. And that's the first stage of a healthy small group. The second stage is the storming stage, which is where we found ourselves in that story. That's usually where conflicts develop and personalities clash. It's where usually a group is made or broke, and you'll either make or break a team. I believe it made ours. We learned from that situation, and we grew. We became better, and I believe that it's been showing throughout the chapel services. And this stage is even more important for me as the worship team leader, because there's this quote in Christianity Today magazine that said, "Our ability to forge healthy relationships is increasingly critical to effective leadership." In order for our team to make it to be the most effective, myself as the leader has to be able to guide us through that storming and through any conflict that might happen as we move on in our quest, if you will, as a team. Conflicts will either make or break a team, like I said, but it can make a team stronger and more together. It's in this stage that we begin to mesh more as a team, because you got to work through this baggage and these issues. From the storming stage, if it's done properly and healthily, then you move into the norming stage, where you start to normalize expectations. You start to normalize team roles as a group and as a team, and things become smoother. Practices become smoother. Communication becomes better, to where you are able to operate more at peak efficiency, which brings us to the next stage of small group development, which is performing. And it's at this stage that a group performs at its highest and most efficient way in order to accomplish the best results. Sometimes there's still conflicts that happen, but it's at this stage in small group development that the small group operates most efficiently. it's at this stage that the group makes its biggest impact. And I believe we're heading towards that stage. I believe we're still normalizing some things. And as you mature as a group, as people, then the team matures as well. After the performing stage, they went to the adjourning stage or the terminating stage where it ends. This can happen in a healthy or an unhealthy way. Of course, conflicts can emerge, and then the group, a band or a group just breaks and they dissipate and they're gone. That happens plenty of times, both in band, small groups, but also just in small groups in any sort of setting. It can also happen in a healthy way, maybe as an individual grows and moves on to another part of their life. Y'all will eventually graduate and move on to another part of your life, and that's a good thing. It can be completely healthy. But one way or another, a small group will eventually terminate and move on. There's always an ending, just as there is also a starting. It's important that we know these 5 stages as a small group so that we can see where we are at, where we are going, and how much progress that we've made. And we can encourage ourselves and celebrate the times that we've moved on. And we can also encourage ourselves whenever we're going through a hard or a rough patch in order to move forward if we know these 5 stages of small group development: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. And so as we move on as a worship team and as a small group, we can move forward with proper expectations and really operate at peak efficiency as a group.